First, let me start with a question. What do you think would be important qualifications for school teachers? I imagine you might say, well, they should be, familiar with the subject matter. They should have a mastery of teaching techniques, maybe be adept at behavioural management. All of those things make sense, right? But I'm pretty sure none of you would say, I think teachers, it's really important that they understand Indigenous culture and anti-racism. And yet, that is exactly what the New South Wales government is requiring of all teaching graduates before they are allowed into our classrooms. A statement from the New South Wales Education Department published in the Daily Mail today reads, and I quote, "All staff must complete the mandatory training, Aboriginal cultural education," it's called Let's Take the First Step Together, and training on the anti-racism policy and their responsibility to actively challenge racism. Now, this compulsory module, it's not compulsory for you to graduate, but if you graduate without doing this module, you can never teach in New South Wales. It instructs potential teachers on an overview of Indigenous languages, a knowledge of significant Aboriginal people and Aboriginal sites, and an understanding of the impact that government policies have had on Indigenous people over the past couple of hundred years. Now, the Education Department says this is very important because it will help the teachers in New South Wales classrooms to improve cultural safety, quote unquote, for Aboriginal students. Caleb and Liz, good idea or bad idea?
This is absolutely nuts. We have a national teacher shortage in Australia. Every state and territory is crying out for more teachers. In New South Wales, where these rules are now applying, as of January, we had 1,294 teacher vacancies in the state alone. And we're told that's a good thing because it's a 4-year low. So apparently that figure is something to be rejoiced over. A 4-year low, just under 1,300 vacancies in the state of New South Wales. And that's just speaking of one state. And is it any wonder when all the research that talks about this national teacher shortage repeatedly says that one of the really important elements to this is a lack of people's respect for the profession? It has fallen in people's esteem, and that is across the board. Is it any wonder when parents are becoming increasingly aware of the fact that these are indoctrinators, not educators, and the state is doing nothing to hide the hand that they're playing here? Got to baptise the up-and-coming teachers in white guilt so they can do the same when they reach the classroom. This is just utter nonsense when we have kids failing the most basic tenets of their education. We saw last year in, was it the NAPLAN results? 1 in 3 kids did not meet the standard requirements of grammar and spelling. And this is what we're grilling our teachers in. We've also talked at length countless times about the poor standards of teachers and the fact that they are dropping requirements, tertiary requirements for these teachers because we're so desperate for them. It's like, oh, actually, if your ATAR is not that up to scratch, you can still qualify for teaching. It's utterly ridiculous that anyone thinks that this is a priority right now in our education system.
Well, you have to ask the question, and I have asked this a number of times in columns I've written over the years. If your objective was to be a good teacher, why would you bother going into the profession anymore? Because you get bogged down in all of this garbage, you know. It starts at uni and then you get into the classroom and then they'll dictate to you, the department will dictate to you all this woke stuff that you have to do, and then you have to come up against all the other teachers who, of course, are going along with all of this stuff. And if you raise your hand and say, well, actually, I just want to get on with the job of teaching, you get bullied out, etc., etc. Why would you bother to put up with all that nonsense if you just wanted to make sure that the next generation of kids had as much knowledge as they could and could be good members of society?